So let's move in to the big news that I had to share with you. I got a series of letters from the ex-employees of Gulf News, National, and Khaleej Times. Now, you know, there's a certain degree of truth what they are sharing. So what I'll do is I'll read out the letter to you. You listen to what they have to say. I'll also put my comments in between. And like I always tell you, share with me your comments, share with me your thoughts. I'm not going to censor anything. But keep in mind, this is not my view, just my view. This is not my letter. This is a letter from an employee of the newspaper. And I verified this information from the people who are actually working for the newspapers. So let's go through it and let's hear them out. The letter says, "Hi Loy, I came across your videos by accident while researching the UAE economy. Many of the stuff that you have covered are not reported in the newspaper. I too used to work in a very senior position in the editorial department. As I know for a fact that the real news is not reported in the newspapers. All the newspapers are bleeding money and are on their last leg. This is primarily because print media is no longer effective. People find out, people have realized that if you advertise in the newspaper, many people will just see it, but it may not be the target audience. Today, when you advertise on Facebook, you can choose your demographic, you can choose the age, you can choose the gender, you can choose the time when you want it to advertise. And advertising online is as cheap as choosing a budget of $1, which is not available in newspapers. Newspapers follow an outdated tradition whereby, once upon a time they could charge hundreds of thousands of dollars or dirhams. Today, even getting anybody to advertise in papers is impossibly hard. I'll share more as we go through it. Please go through the attached file. He sent me an attached file to get the insight about the media in UAE. You will be shocked. Thanks and keep up the good work. Cheers. Please keep my name confidential and thank you for respecting my confidentiality." Okay, so I have censored his name. I've censored all the bits. This is the attachment that he sent me. Okay. "Hi Loy, I'll give you an insight about what is happening in the UAE media and newspaper industry. Gulf News has sacked most of its staff. From a strength of nearly 2,000 a few years ago, this is during the boom period, okay, especially when the property market was booming, when, they were selling anything that was like 10,000 dirhams, they were selling it for nearly 80,000, 100,000 dirhams. We're talking of that time, the property boom. Banks were giving loans just like they were distributing cookies, and credit cards were just floating in the market. You could get 11 credit cards. That was the time. In fact, that was the time when the classifieds of Gulf News was bigger than the main paper. In fact, they had, I think, 4 classifieds or 3 classifieds, all of 30 pages each. So thick. This was a booklet. You're talking about every single day. Such a big amount of the thickness of classifieds, and the newspaper was hardly thin, and there was nothing but ads and ads and ads and ads. Okay, so Gulf News has stacked most of its staff from a strength of nearly 2,000 a few years ago. Now it's less than 400. These include newsboys, newspaper boys. UAE banned them. Before they used to give newspapers during if you'd stop near a signal, but they banned this practice. Printers, accountants, IT, editorial reporters, and so on. Every 3 months, around 30 to 40 people are made redundant. Most of the good editorial staff are sacked, especially those whose salary were more than 15,000 dirhams. The news that appears in the newspaper are doctored. We could not write anything about the economy of the UAE and Yemen conflict, which is obvious. Okay, there is a self-censorship and every editor knows where the line is drawn. Gulf News is incurring a huge loss. This I verified with more than 7 to 8 different people working in Gulf News in various departments. And for the past years, the drop in advertisement revenues. The newspaper is now just 28 pages. Sports page is reduced to 3 pages. Business section 4 to 5 pages, and there's hardly any news in it. The classifieds, which used to be the mainstay of revenue generation, is hardly 8 to 10 pages now. Remember, I told you it was 30 pages, 3 booklets. Okay, so most of the top marketing managers, mostly Indians and editors, who built the newspaper are now out of Gulf News, which I know for a fact. Gulf News fucked up big time by hiring whites to head all the departments, which is very common in the Middle East and the UAE. When they see any white Gora, as they call it, from the West, they think they're more educated, which is a fucking joke. Okay, these guys don't know anything. They're not even good in their written English, and their editing skills are horrendous. They were hired at more than twice the salaries of Indian editorial staff, which that is where you get fucked. Okay. Secondly, they promoted the stateless Bahraini with Canadian citizenship to head the editorial department. I do not know who this person is. The guy promoted only female Arabs and Muslims in the editorial department, which is very common in most companies. Okay, he fucked up big time with his pro-Pakistani editorial policy, which is also very common with Pakistanis, and even went to Pakistan and wrote the front page article on Kashmir, which he parroted the Pakistani propaganda. This did not go well with the Indian readers and advertisers of Gulf News. They slowly started withdrawing their advertisements to Gulf News. This Bedu also bought Pakistani officials to the editorial department to show them around. There's a lot of discrimination in Gulf News. This I also heard from many sources. The salary slab for a particular grade is not uniform at all. For example, if in grade E, now this is inside information, I don't know this. If in grade E, a salary for an Arab would be 25,000, white European would be 23,000, Indian would be 15,000, which I told you, corporate racism exists very strongly in the Middle East, okay, especially UAE. Besides, most of the top positions are always given to whites or Arabs or whites, which is, they think they're smart. That is why they get fucked, and that is why Gulf is going to shut down. A few Indians who are in the top positions is due because of the bootlicking to Arab bosses, which is understood. Those who don't lick up to the Arab bosses are sidelined or sacked. Gulf News' sister publication Express is closed, and its editor, Mazhar Faruqi, a brilliant journalist, is now absorbed in Gulf News. So most of the designers in the editorial department are sacked. Mind you, they are world class. Now Gulf News' editorial department looks like a cemetery. A few Indian staff bring out the entire edition. Indians are known to work like donkeys. Those who are remaining are looking out for opening elsewhere, and but while those with big, huge loans are bidding their time, sucking up to their bosses. For nearly a year now, the salaries of Gulf News staff is being paid by bank overdrafts, which I found very, very shocking. There are three partners in Gulf News, that is Obaid Al-Tayar, Rastamani, and Jumal Majid. Rastamani and Jumal Majid are no more interested in running a loss-making newspaper. Only Tayar is pumping in money to keep the newspaper running. Recently, there were German consultants who were hired to turn the newspaper around, but it seems they say there is no future for Gulf News as a print media as such as it is. Most probably, it'll either go online or wind up its operations, which is a very strong possibility. Khalij Times. Now, this is from a person who's working in Khalij Times, and this is what he has sent me. Hi, Loy. The fate of Khalij Times is similar to what you told me about Gulf News. Recently, they do have stacked 120 staff. They are in a financial mess. National newspaper, I spoke to another guy. This person over there said a national newspaper has sacked some of its high-paying staff after a new management took over its newspaper. They have hardly any sales. Most of their staff are Arabs and whites because they believe they could do a better job, believe me or not. I would give all these papers a year or two before they kick in the bucket. Gulf News, one of them said, Loy, right now we are on life support. After 2020, I doubt any print newspapers will be seen in the UAE. There's no readership, no advertisement revenues. As such, print media in UAE will die a slow and painful death. Paid subscription have declined severely. Sales staff are finding it impossible to get new clients. Any staff that is left in marketing, circulation, editorial now are slowly resigning. If you want, verify with your contacts in the newspaper. The main office in Al Safa off Sheikh Zayed Road, the main office that is of Gulf News, the big beautiful building, he's saying it resembles a ghost building. You don't have to believe me. Just go there by yourself. See how many people come in and go. It's an empty workstation with skeletal staff. As I was speaking to some of the people, my contacts in Gulf News, Khalij Times, and National, they gave me this information. It seems More employees have been sacked from the editorial department. This is Gulf News. 20 more have been sacked 2 days ago. They include photographers, reporters, copy editors, support staff, including the web edition. Now on the editorial universal copy desk, only 8 staff out of 48 are remaining. And these 8 staff bring the entire print edition of the 24 pages. You can check the quality of editing and writing now printed in Gulf News. There are so many errors. There are so many factual mistakes. In fact, it's laughable. Khalid Shams is no better. They too are on a sacking spree, and national newspaper is struggling. You're doing a very good job in exposing the underbelly of Dubai. More power to you. As I get more information, you'll be informed. So this was the big news number 1, which I wanted to share with you. So let me know, as usual, you are the people who watch the video. Give me your thoughts, give me your comments. Do you think what I'm saying is true? Do you think what I'm saying is false? Do you see the reality? Would you, as a business or an individual, advertise in Gulf News, or would you rather advertise on Facebook, on Google, which gives you, hour by hour analytics? Let me know your thoughts. Do you think Gulf News is still strong? Gulf News, Khalid Shams, the national newspaper. Do you think that they give you all the news? Or would you trust someone like Al Jazeera? Or would you trust someone like CNN, BBC? Give me your thoughts. I'm leaving it open to you. So this was the first part of the news that I wanted to share.